It's Wednesday, January 25th, 2017. From the Total Soccer Show, Dirty Tackle, and Howler Magazine, this is the Goalmouth. I'm George Qureshi. In today's reusable grocery bag of locally sourced soccer produce, Clint Dempsey. He's back. Pro Rel in the USA. Pro Rel in the USA. And the Goalmouth Guide to Traveling the World. But first, a quick update on the Africa Cup of Nations. The DRC, that's the Democratic Republic of Congo, and Morocco booked their places in the quarterfinals with wins over Togo and, the Ivory Coast, respectively. They await the winners of today's matches, Egypt versus Ghana and Uganda versus Mali, both at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, both on beIN Sports, I believe. Or I guess they can't both be on beIN Sports. Maybe one's on the Spanish. Well, figure it out. You know, that's what the internet's for. Figure it out. Clint Dempsey has been sitting out since he was found to have an irregular heartbeat back in August. He had what Seattle Times reporter Matt Pence calls an unspecified procedure, but then called the season quits for good in September. But he has now been cleared to return, though Sounders general manager Garth Lagerwey doesn't want to get your hopes up, saying, quote, I don't want to set any expectations because we either will hit them or we won't. Next up, yesterday, we published a big story from the new forthcoming issue of Howler. That's right, there's a new issue of Howler coming. If you wanted to, you could go to shop.howlermagazine.com to find that. Anyway, this story is about promotion and relegation. It's on whatahowler.com. It's by Peter Wilt, who launched the Chicago Fire, Chicago Red Stars, Indy 11, and he goes through all the pluses and minuses for all the stakeholders, and he proposes a couple of ways that Pro Rel could be instituted here in the US and Canada. Wait, that's news? Yes. I read the tweets, I read the comments, I checked the post on the MLS subreddit, and it was the most civil, most intelligent conversation about Pro Rel I have ever seen on the internet. However, I know what kind of people listen to this podcast, listen to the Goalmouth, what kind of people you are. So I just want you to promise me that if you go and read the story, you won't embarrass me and the rest of the other guys by getting really aggressive and hostile and weird about Pro Rel. I know that sounds crazy. It sounds ridiculous, but I hear it happens. Okay, now I promised you the Goalmouth Guide to Traveling the World, but sometimes an example of how not to do something can be just as powerful as a good how-to. We begin in London, where Granit Xhaka, a man known for his prodigious restraint and conscientious behavior toward others, was dropping a buddy off at Heathrow Airport. It's a nice thing to do. You take your friend, you get him out, you take him for a bite to eat, put him on the airplane, fed, happy. But they arrived a little too late, and when his friend, who plays for a 6th Division team in Germany, wasn't allowed to get on the plane, Xhaka called the gate attendant a blankety white blank. I'm not using the bad words here because this is a family podcast, but you're never too young to learn a lesson from all of this, which is you really need to allow yourself ample time to get to the airport, especially for international flights, okay? I don't care if it's public transportation, if you're driving, whatever it is. You just need 2 hours. They say 2 hours. Some people think that's old fashioned. Get there 2 hours in advance. Okay. Next, we go farther afield to Manchester, where, you know what? I think the headline in the Manchester Evening News does a pretty good job summarizing. Racist yobs sing vile, quote, gas chamber song on tram ahead of City game against Spurs. And the subhead, the passengers were heard shouting, "You're getting gassed in the morning. Gassed in the morning." I'm not sure if that should be to like a Frere Jacques type melody or what, but to continue the subhead, while traveling to the Etihad. So they're on their way to the game in this tram. This is, of course, another example of that inimitable British brand of humor, slyly calling attention to the fact that Tottenham supporters claim Jewishness as part of their identity, and that Jews, as we all know, were victims of a horrific act of mass murder in the 20th century. What can we learn from all this? Oh, I don't know. If the tram pulls up and it's full of dangerous idiots, wait for the next one. Finally, I have another story that I mostly understand via Google Translate once again, this time from the original German. When Red Bull Salzburg traveled to Dubai for a winter training camp, they were missing Munas Dabur, who was instead with the reserve team, or a reserve team, I can't really tell, in Spain. Was he caught looking at his cell phone during a team meeting? Was he caught snogging a teammate's wife? Did he tell the manager he wanted to move to France because his wife and kids had never really settled in London? That would be weird since this team is in Salzburg. No, and no. Dabur is an Israeli citizen and he wasn't issued a visa by Dubai. The outlet where I read this story, Sports Chow, Sportschau, whatever, quotes Paul Haber, the president of Hakoah Vienna, a Jewish soccer club that was a hugely successful team before it was wiped out during the Holocaust. And Haber had this to say, quote, "The training camp had heard canceled. The whole team should fly to Spain." I'm pretty sure that got garbled by Google Translate. In any case, he's saying that the training camp should have been canceled or should be canceled. And you know what? I completely agree. I'm sure it would be expensive. It would be inconvenient. You got to find teams to replace the ones you were going to play or whatever. But I think it's some serious BS, and it really just makes a mockery of the whole idea of what a team is supposed to be. And I don't know if this is another vagary of Google Translate, but as far as mealy-mouthed dissembling non-answers from official club spokespersons go, the one offered in response by Red Bull's Salzburg's Christian Kircher is pretty spectacular. Quote, "The Lord is not known to us," he said. "We have noted this." Travel tip: boycott Dubai? Wow, this has been a highly depressing edition of the Goalmouth Guide to Traveling the World, so I'm going to drop you off in a happy place. Belarus, where a goalkeeper in a futsal game, don't know the keeper's name or his team or even the name of the competition he's playing in, but this guy scored a ridiculous volley from his own goal line, and he scored. I'm not even spoiling it because once you see it, you'll be like, oh my God, that's incredible. So the link to the video is in the email and on the Goalmouth page at whatahowler.com. My name is George Qureshi. Taylor Rockwell will be with you tomorrow. Or wait, he went yesterday. So maybe Daryl will be. I'm not privy to their imaginations, okay? Don't forget to sign up for our newsletter, rate and review the show. I am so flattered that someone pretending to be me said I was the best Goalmouth host. I don't care if the George is fake, if the review is real. And that review, it sounds real. I haven't actually been able to check and verify that, but it sounds real. And obviously that one is factually correct if it is real. So I leave you with today's Goalmouth top tip. The Goalmouth. We don't want to set any expectations because we either will hit them or we won't.